You took him off the field. He's the reason you're in the damn game. He's the reason you had a chance. I'm not kidding. He was the best player for the Cleveland Browns today. I'm not kidding.
Kevin Stefanski did not want Shedeur Sanders, didn't even want him in the 5th round. Kevin Stefanski has done everything in his power to keep Shedeur Sanders from succeeding in Cleveland as a 5th round.
Kevin Stefanski actually hates Shedeur. You can't tell me Kevin Stefanski isn't trying to sabotage Shedeur. Stefanski needs to be fired and investigated. Multiple questionable decisions.
The Cleveland Browns lost to the one-win Tennessee Titans 31-29. And in the aftermath of this disaster, one truth became crystal clear. Kevin Stefanski's time in Cleveland is over. Not next month, not at the end of the season. It should have ended the moment that final whistle blew. But here's the twist that makes this story absolutely infuriating for Browns fans. The loss wasn't on their quarterback, not even close. 5th-round pick Shedeur Sanders just delivered the single best performance by a Cleveland quarterback all season long. 23 of 42 completions, 364 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 29 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown, a 97.7 quarterback rating, 4 total touchdowns. He was the leading rusher on his own team. Think about that. Your rookie quarterback, who fell to the 5th round, is carrying your entire offense on his back against a team that came in with 1 win.
Shedeur Sanders just played by far his best game as a pro. He just threw for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns and led the Browns in rushing and scored a rushing touchdown from 7 yards.
This wasn't just a good game. This was historic. Shedeur became the first Browns quarterback since Baker Mayfield in 2018 to throw for over 300 yards. He's the only rookie quarterback this year to hit the 300-yard mark. He joined Joe Burrow as the only rookie quarterbacks in the last 15 years to post 350 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown in a single game. For a franchise that's been quarterbacking hell since they came back into the league, this should have been a celebration. This should have been the moment Cleveland finally exhaled and said, "We found our guy." Instead, it turned into an absolute coaching malpractice clinic.
This is the best stat line any Browns quarterback has had on the season. I'm serious. If you've watched every snap of every Cleveland Browns game like me, we have not seen anything like this. The man had 4 effing touchdowns. He put the team on his back.
The numbers don't lie, and they paint a picture that's both beautiful and tragic. Shedeur Sanders outplayed the #1 overall pick, Cam Ward. A 5th-round pick dramatically outperformed the guy who went 1st overall in the same draft. Ward finished 14 of 28 with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Meanwhile, Shedeur threw for 100 more yards and looked like a legitimate franchise quarterback doing it. The kid from Colorado, the one everyone said fell because of character concerns or his famous last name or whatever excuse draft analysts wanted to use, just proved he belongs in this league. Not as a backup, not as a project, as a legitimate starting NFL quarterback right now. And how did Kevin Stefanski reward this performance? By pulling him off the field during the most critical moment of the game. Down by 8 points, with a chance to tie, the Browns scored a touchdown. All they needed was a 2-point conversion to even things up. Shedeur had just orchestrated a clutch 4th-quarter drive, showing poise and playmaking ability that gave Cleveland hope. The momentum was entirely on their side. So naturally, in this moment where you need your best player with the ball in his hands, Stefanski pulled Sanders off the field and ran a wildcat formation with running back Quinshon Judkins.
He's the reason you're in the damn game. He's the reason you had a chance. I'm not kidding. He was the best player for the Cleveland Browns today. I'm not kidding. Maybe the only bright spot for the Cleveland Browns today, him and Fannin.
What happened next was so bad it defies explanation. The play was a complete disaster. Judkins took the snap, appeared confused about whether he should hand it off or throw it backward, and the attempt failed spectacularly. The Browns never recovered. They lost by 2 points, the exact margin of that botched conversion attempt. This wasn't just a bad play call. This was coaching malpractice of the highest order. You have a rookie quarterback who just threw for nearly 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, who has the hot hand, who's in rhythm, who literally put your team in position to tie the game, and you take the ball out of his hands for what? A gimmick play that hadn't worked earlier in the same game? Because here's the kicker. Stefanski had already tried the Wildcat with Judkins earlier. It didn't work then either. Judkins averaged 1.9 yards per carry all game. The run game was non-existent. The offensive line was getting destroyed. They were missing 2 starters on the right side and lost their center Ethan Pochik to injury during the game. Nothing on the ground was working. Shedeur was the only thing keeping Cleveland in this game, and Stefanski decided the 2-point conversion was the perfect time to abandon what was working.
Shedeur, with the game of his life in the fourth quarter, after the adversity he had overcome, Dylan Sampson fumbles the ball, sets up the Titans, and the game looks like it's over. And then Shedeur, Superman cape on, runs it in, clutch touchdown. We're right back in this.
The reaction was immediate and brutal. NFL players, media members, former coaches, everyone with a platform started destroying Stefanski's decision. LaShawn McCoy asked, how can Shedeur be great when his own coach is holding him back? Darius Butler of the Pat McAfee Show called it a terrible play call with the game on the line. Shannon Sharp said Browns removing Shedeur constantly in go-to situations needs to be studied. Even Albert Breer, who has been critical of Shedeur throughout his career, admitted this was Sanders' best game as a pro. This isn't just the Shedeur Sanders fan club complaining. These are NFL veterans, respected analysts, people who understand football at the highest level, and they're all saying the same thing. Kevin Stefanski is holding this team back. And it's not just this game. This is a pattern. Stefanski has now failed on 2 different 2-point conversion attempts in the same game. He went for 2 early, when a simple extra point would have changed the math later. His decision-making has been questionable all season. The special teams unit has been a disaster under his watch. The offense has underperformed despite having elite defensive support. And perhaps most damning, there are videos circulating of Stefanski on the sideline seemingly ignoring Shedeur, not communicating with him, not acknowledging him during critical moments.
Kevin Stefanski's still an issue. I know Tommy Rees calls the plays. It's Stefanski's system and it's Stefanski's playbook. And Stefanski, the first thing he said after the game was, it was my responsibility, the 2-point play.
To Stefanski's credit, he took responsibility in the post-game press conference. He said the failed conversions were on him. But here's the problem. Taking responsibility means nothing if you keep making the same mistakes. This is year 5 for Stefanski in Cleveland. He's a 2-time Coach of the Year winner, and yet the Browns are staring down a second consecutive losing season. The offense has regressed. The quarterback situation has been a revolving door of failure. And now, when they finally have a young player showing genuine franchise quarterback potential, Stefanski seems determined to sabotage it. Let's talk about Dillon Gabriel for a second. The Browns used a 3rd-round pick on Gabriel, and by all accounts, Stefanski wanted him to be the guy. Gabriel got the starting job over Shedeur in training camp in preseason, but Gabriel has been, to put it mildly, not good. He's not shown anything that suggests he's an NFL-caliber starter. Meanwhile, Shedeur was sitting on the bench, not getting meaningful reps, watching this disaster unfold. When injuries finally forced Cleveland to turn to Sanders, he immediately showed he should have been starting from day 1. This raises a critical question about organizational competence. How does a coaching staff evaluate these 2 quarterbacks in practice every day and decide Dillon Gabriel gives them a better chance to win? Either their evaluation process is fundamentally broken or there's something else going on. And given Stefanski's treatment of Shedeur during games, pulling him for wildcat plays, not communicating with him on the sideline, making decisions that seem designed to limit his impact, you have to wonder if there's a deeper issue here.
What if you just developed him from day 1? Because now we're losing to the 1-win Tennessee Titans. A team that has no business winning a football game against a defense that should be a Super Bowl defense. That's what I'm told.
The defensive performance deserves mention too, because this loss wasn't just on the coaching staff's offensive decisions. Tony Pollard rushed for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Titans, who came in with 1 win and had been getting blown out regularly, suddenly looked like offensive juggernauts. They ran the ball down Cleveland's throat all game. 25 carries for Pollard, multiple explosive runs. A Browns defense that's supposed to be elite, that has Myles Garrett wreaking havoc, got absolutely gashed by a struggling offense. But even with the defense underperforming, even with the special teams continuing to be a disaster, even with the offensive line decimated by injuries, Shedeur Sanders nearly pulled this game out. He orchestrated multiple fourth-quarter scoring drives. He made throws that only elite quarterbacks make. The 60-yard touchdown to Jerry Jeudy in the first half showed arm strength and touch. The rushing touchdown in the fourth quarter showed toughness and competitiveness. This wasn't a game manager performance. This was a quarterback taking over and trying to will his team to victory. And it almost worked. If Stefanski just kicks the extra point on the first touchdown, Cleveland only needs another extra point to tie on the second score. If he doesn't pull Shedeur for that Wildcat disaster, maybe they convert and actually tie the game. If any number of coaching decisions go differently, the Browns win this game behind their rookie quarterback's monster performance.
Give the man 12 a chance and build around him.
The post-game interviews added another layer to this story. Shedeur was asked if he wished he had the ball in his hands during that crucial 2-point conversion. His answer was the epitome of professionalism. He said, of course he always wants the ball, but that's not how football works sometimes. He defended the play call, said they practiced it, and refused to throw his coach under the bus. That's the mark of a mature player, especially a rookie. He could have gone scorched earth. He could have expressed frustration. Instead, he took the high road. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Simmons and Myles Garrett, defenders from both teams, praised Shedeur's performance. Simmons called him a competitor who's going to be a star in the league. Garrett talked about how Shedeur has been a competitor his whole life and showed it on the field. These are elite NFL players recognizing what they saw, a legitimate quarterback who can play at this level. The broader context makes this even more frustrating for Browns fans. This franchise has been quarterback hell for decades. They've cycled through dozens of starters, they've whiffed on draft picks, they've made terrible trades, they've handed out massive contracts to players who didn't deserve them. And finally, they stumble into a 5th-round pick who might actually be the answer, and their head coach seems determined to screw it up.
I've tried to tell y'all, and there are people who are a lot more... They don't even use stats. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt because I want to make sure I have all the stats together. There is nothing redeeming about what Kevin Stefanski has done.
There's a decision looming for the Browns organization. If Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback of the future, and after this performance, how can he not be? Then Kevin Stefanski cannot be the head coach. It's that simple. Stefanski didn't draft Shedeur. He wanted Dillon Gabriel. He's shown repeatedly that he doesn't trust Shedeur in crucial moments. The relationship is broken, or more accurately, it never existed in a healthy form to begin with. You can't build a franchise around a young quarterback if your head coach is actively working against his success. You can't develop a player when he's being pulled off the field during the most important snaps.
You can't create continuity and chemistry when your offensive system doesn't fit your quarterback's strengths. Something has to give. And given that Shedeur Sanders just proved he can be a franchise cornerstone, while Stefanski has proven he can't manage crucial game situations, the choice should be obvious. Cleveland is at a crossroads. They have a legitimately elite defense led by Myles Garrett. They have young talent at receiver with guys like Harold Fannin Jr. showing promise, and now they potentially have their quarterback. The pieces are there for this team to be competitive, but none of it matters if the coaching continues to be this incompetent.
You're either tanking or you're sabotaging Shedeur. I'm sorry. I was the one that said, no, I don't believe Kevin Stefanski is sabotaging Shedeur. I believe Kevin Stefanski is just that bad at his job. You can't be this bad at your job.
The Tank Bowl, as some called this matchup between two struggling teams, turned into something else entirely. It became a referendum on coaching competence. It became a showcase for a young quarterback who refused to let his team quit. and it became the final piece of evidence in the case against Kevin Stefanski's tenure in Cleveland. Browns fans have endured decades of misery. They've watched their team move to Baltimore and win Super Bowl. They've suffered through the expansion-era failure. They've endured the parade of quarterbacks and coaches. They've dealt with inept ownership and bizarre front office decisions. And just when they might have found a glimmer of hope in a fifth-round rookie quarterback who plays with heart and talent, their head coach is wasting it. This isn't about one bad play call. This is about a pattern of poor decision-making, questionable game management, and an inability to maximize the talent on the roster. Stefanski is a two-time Coach of the Year, which makes this collapse even more baffling. How does someone who was once considered an offensive genius devolve into making decisions this inexplicably bad? The answer might be that the game has passed him by. The NFL is constantly evolving, and coaches who can't adapt get left behind. Or maybe the pressure of coaching in Cleveland, with all its dysfunction and impossible expectations, has broken him. Or perhaps he was never as good as those awards suggested, and he's simply been exposed. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. Kevin Stefanski can no longer be the head coach of the Browns. Not if they want to win. Not if they want to develop Shedeur Sanders. Not if they want to stop wasting an elite defense and young offensive talent. The time for change isn't coming. It's here. It's been here. And every game that passes without action is another missed opportunity for a franchise that can't afford to waste any more time. Shedeur Sanders proved something against Tennessee. He proved he can play. He proved the doubters wrong. He proved he's worth building around. But in doing so, he also proved that Kevin Stefanski needs to be fired. The question now is whether Browns ownership will have the courage to make the obvious move, or if they'll continue down this path of dysfunction and disappointment. Based on their history, Browns fans probably shouldn't hold their breath. But after watching their rookie quarterback ball out only to have victory snatched away by coaching incompetence, they deserve better. Shedeur Sanders deserves better. And the city of Cleveland deserves better than watching their coach actively sabotage their best chance at quarterback stability in a generation.